What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Dirty Bird Fly Through. Before we get started, remember to like, remember to subscribe, remember to share the video out. All the support is greatly appreciated. Thank you for supporting. And back from the bye week, took a little break during the bye week, had some stuff going on. Um, Obviously, an early bye week, at the end of the day, it's also really kind of tough to really talk about a whole lot, even though I definitely think there were things to talk about. Still, with the bye being so early and so much season ahead of us, you know, I feel like you got to get to about that midway point before you can really actually examine fully what your season has been as you get more clarity on your team. But we are back, and we're back for what is maybe one of the biggest matchups of this entire season. Monday Night Football in the bins, prime time at home. The Atlanta Falcons, throwback logos, red helmets, throwback field, welcoming in probably the best team in the whole NFL in the Buffalo Bills, of course, led by Josh Allen. So, y'all know what we're here to do. We're here to talk about the game. We're here to break it down. Here to see, what is it going to take for the Falcons to possibly pull off what would be one of the biggest upsets so far of this NFL season. There's been a lot of upsets. So, at the end of the day, anything is possible, and they tell you any given Sunday, any given Monday, any given Thursday, any given NFL game, anything can happen. I think we've learned that so far this season. But at the end of the day, it is certainly going to take some things happening for the Falcons to be able to win this game. But I'll go ahead and say it is certainly something worth talking about. So, obviously, before getting into the actual game, talking about, of course, the beautiful red helmets, them being back, I gotta talk about the red helmets for a second. And at the end of the day, you could say, well, you can win in style or you can lose in style. The Falcons, I believe, since 2009 are 13-3 when wearing the red helmets, including going 3-0 last year when they did wear those red helmets. So, listen, at the end of the day, there is certainly a magic about those helmets. I don't think that you can really deny it at this point. Whenever the Falcons have those red helmets on, there is more times than not a magic that comes along with them. Pretty much anyone and everyone that I have seen, the one consensus about it is they are absolutely beautiful, in my opinion. And of course, you could chop it down to a little biasness. There's a lot of, I think, beautiful throwback uniforms, but I think our red helmets take the cake. I think they are the best uniforms in the whole NFL. There's obviously one person who doesn't like them, but we're not going to give his opinions the time of day today. But the red helmets are absolutely beautiful, and there is certainly a magic about them. And whenever the Falcons are wearing them, it obviously is going to add an extra layer of excitement. And when you add in this is prime time and you're at home, the excitement level I already think for this game is maxed out. Now, looking at the injury report, and it's not a full injury report, as both these teams have not had their Saturday practice yet, and this video is being recorded on Friday evening. But taking a look at it for the Falcons, obviously coming off the bye week, you are more well rested. There are some notable names. First and foremost, Taquan Graham activated off of IR. It looks as if he's going to be able to make his season debut on Monday night. So that is certainly going to, I think, add even another layer of how the Falcons are going to be able to attack up front, adding someone like Taquan Graham back into the mix. Some other guys, obviously AJ Terrell, the most notable one, who got injured before the bye week. He's missed the past two games. He looks on track to make his return on Monday night. which, once again is absolutely critical. Darnell Mooney got injured in that last game before the bye week. We really felt like maybe the bye week could give him the opportunity to not have to miss any time, but so far he has not practiced Thursday or Friday. So it's really looking like as the week goes on, his game status might be more in doubt than you initially thought. And then, of course, looking at some other names, Xavier Watson pop up on the injury report Friday, limited with an ankle injury, but hopefully doesn't end up being too serious. As obviously he has been very critical this first month, and he'll be absolutely critical once again if the Falcons want to pull off what would be a very big upset on Monday night. Now, looking at the Bills side of things, um, they got some notable names on here as well. Dion Dawkins with a thumb injury. He was limited on Thursday, but he practiced in full on Friday. Damar Hamlin with a pectoral injury. First and foremost, just thankful that he gets to still play this game. Limited on Thursday, did not practice on Friday. Dalton Kincaid, they're tied in with an oblique injury. He's been limited so far. Matt Milano, he has not practiced so far. And if Matt Milano ends up missing this game with a pectoral injury, that could be a very big loss for that Buffalo defense. Ed Oliver, he has been limited all week. Curtis Samuel, he did not practice on Friday. So yeah, both teams, they have some notable names on their injury report. Obviously, for the Falcons coming off this bye week, there's really no excuse to be beaten up, but at the same time, the Falcons were carrying over a lot of injuries prior to the bye week. It looks like we're going to get a lot of these guys back. Obviously, Darnell Mooney is definitely the biggest name that I think there's some uncertainty too. And Mooney just really has not been able to see the field really much at all to make an impact so far this season. I think that's been one of the most disappointing things with this offense so far has been the lack of involvement we see from Darnell Mooney. Because as we know, I think Darnell Mooney, he can open up a lot with your passing game. And when, he isn't out there, I definitely think it does limit, especially the deep shots you are able to take. Now, as far as, I was just mentioning it, coming off the bye week well rested. There should really not be, I think, many injury concerns, as I just stated. But it's not just coming off the bye well rested in terms of having your guys out there, but it's coming off the bye well rested with the right mindset. The Atlanta Falcons will now have had 15 days when this game kicks off to have prepared for the Buffalo Bills. They have had a 15-day head start on this team. And seeing, obviously, the weaknesses of the Buffalo Bills, the strengths of the Buffalo Bills, and really being able to come up with a game plan on how to beat the Buffalo Bills. And at the end of the day, the Bills are the best team in the NFL. There's not going to, be any easy task that comes around with the Bills. I think last week versus the Patriots, that those games are so tough. These divisional games, they get so tough. The Bills are going to be looking to come into Atlanta and make a statement and go into their bye week with a lot of momentum. And that's what we gotta recognize. We're gonna get a pissed off Bills team, but you've had 15 days to prepare for this thing. You've had 15 days to come up with the perfect game plan to be able to contain Josh Allen, to be able to keep that Buffalo Bills offense in check, to be able to attack that Buffalo defense. So at the end of the day, I'm not saying that this is per se a game that you have to win, but I don't think this is a game you can come out flat in. I think this has to be a game that you have to be competitive in. You have to show fight in. You have to show that you can stick around with the best of the best. I'm not saying that a win is required, but you still have to make a statement. You have to be able to stick around with the best, just like you did against the Chiefs last year. You didn't win that game, but you were never really out of it. You had opportunities that whole game, and you just recognized the Chiefs are a better team, and that's okay. But you can't get absolutely beaten out, especially in your own house, wearing your throwback uniforms, and I don't think it's going to happen. But I definitely think that you got to keep this game close, and you have to stay in this game throughout. Now, of course, talking about the man of subject, talking about Josh Allen. He's a reigning league MVP. He is probably still the best quarterback in the NFL right now, or at least one of the top quarterbacks, and has been for the past 5 years. And when you look at where the Buffalo Bills are at right now, and an AFC that they are in, if this is not the Bills' year to come out of the AFC and win their Super Bowl, I don't know when it's going to be. When you go off the fact that obviously number one, the Bills, they still have a really good team, but it starts and ends, of course, with Josh Allen. That AFC is very weak. So at the end of the day, the Bills, they are going to be looking to really get things back on track because the way that they think about it still is this is really a game for them that they want to get right for. I'm telling you right now, this is the attitude. The Bills, they want to get right in this game. They want to be able to come in here, run the football, really play their brand, take control of this game, and get out of here with a win. Because they are looking forward to bigger things. Now, as far as Josh Allen himself goes, listen, there is no absolutely shutting down Josh Allen. Josh Allen can do it with his arm. Josh Allen can do it with his legs. The effect that Josh Allen has, the effect that a franchise quarterback has, is absolutely phenomenal. But the effect that someone like Josh Allen has on this Bills team, it is a trickle down effect, and he covers up a lot of the deficiencies that Buffalo does have, and that's what having a experienced MVP quarterback is able to do. So, there's no completely shutting down Josh Allen, but I think as we saw New England do, there is a blueprint, I think, out on how to beat this Buffalo team, and you got to take advantage of it. You do. And it's a game plan I think you can really plan with accordingly. I think it is a game plan that the Falcons are able to execute. I would say that the Falcons, they match up pretty all right with Buffalo, I think, especially when you do talk about the certain elements of their offense, of course. They, I think, can stick in this thing with the offense. It is the defensive side of the ball that I obviously am concerned about and I'm going to talk about. But this game is going to be a battle of control. Whoever is able to control this game is going to win. And when I talk about control, I mean obviously winning time of possession. I mean running the football efficiently. I mean really being able to have this game down pat. That means not turning the ball over, playing sound football. The Falcons being at home, now listen, Bills Mafia travels very, very well, and I expect Bills Mafia to be present in the Benz Monday night. But the Falcons, I still think, at home are going to have a great opportunity to take control of this game. This is a game that, there's a lot of energy. You see the Falcons putting a lot into this game. From the people that they're going to have out there Monday night to obviously just this is an energy game. This is a game that I think if you probably put any other week, I don't know the Falcons have as good of a chance as they do this week. This is probably the best spot to be in as far as on the schedule where you could be able to beat Buffalo, even with Buffalo coming in here pissed off, coming off their first loss of the year. It is absolutely, I think, the best time of year to be facing this Bills team because they're really, I think, now in the process of maybe rediscovering some of what they do right and what they don't do right. But this is going to be a game of control, a game of momentum, and you could say that's the case with every game in the NFL. But that's what it's going to be about. Whatever team is able to control this game for the longest is going to be able to win. Now, what we've heard about, and one of the biggest stories so far for the Falcons that has really been a change of pace, of course, has been our defense. The Atlanta Falcons have the number one defense in the entire NFL through the first 6 weeks, and honestly, that stat is so mind-boggling. It almost sounds like something that isn't true, but it is. The Falcons have finally turned a corner with their defense. We have seen this defense come out through the first 4 weeks. They have had a very solid outing. They have given the Falcons chances. And they're a very big part of why the Falcons are 2-2 because of how this defense has been able to hold up. But we're actually, I think, going to see how good this defense is able to be on Monday night, and how, of course, they do versus Josh Allen. Because as I think how I think this is with this entire team, this is a game to see really how high the Falcons' ceiling can go, and that I think is particular with the defensive side of the ball. How high is the ceiling for this Falcons defense? And how are they going to be able to handle this Buffalo offense that all it takes for them is one play to completely flip the entire script? So, look, at the end of the day, coming off a 15-day bye week has its perks, but it also has its downsides. And when you talk about this defense potentially having to knock some rust off, that's actually a very big concern for me in this game. And I really think that, the concern I have, heading into this game really is actually the defense. Because I think that, this defense, as, much as you can say Washington and Minnesota, and, this defense has faced, I mean, they faced Tampa week one. This is absolutely going to be the biggest test they have faced so far, and maybe will be one of the biggest tests that they have faced all season. So we are really going to see, I think, how good this defense is. But at the end of the day, look, you gotta, of course, you want to get pressure on Josh Allen, and as far as I think talking about, that second level of the defense, that's going to be absolutely critical of holding up those linebackers, and of course that secondary, but especially that middle of the field. I am telling you, whatever team is able to dominate the middle of the field better between the Falcons and the Bills on offense, that's going to be who wins this game. It's going to come down to several factors. One of those being who is able to um, dominate the middle of the field better on offense. That's what it's going to come down to. So it's going to be absolutely critical for the Falcons defense to have that middle of the field on lockdown. Now, taking a look around the NFC South for a moment, and on the bye week, listen, we went from week 4, the Falcons being the only team in the NFC South to win, with the Bucks, the Saints, and the Panthers all losing, to the Falcons being on a bye week, and every team in the NFC South winning. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they continue to roll, man. And look, I tell you, Tampa Bay, they're winning games. And it's frustrating. I always say the Buccaneers, it's a pain in the ass to have them in this division, because it seems like no matter what, they are the hardest team in the NFL to take their will from, because it seems like that team, they never die, they never give up, they never quit on anything. And they got that big win in Seattle. They go to 4-1. They got a very big matchup versus the San Francisco 49ers, who the Falcons are going to face next Sunday night in San Francisco. So after this, obviously a short week before we go to San Francisco. But the Buccaneers, they are dealing with the 49ers this week down in Tampa. The Carolina Panthers, it really looked like that, down 17 nothing. Probably, the most directionless a franchise could be. But look, they came to life. They came to life with their running game. Rico Dowdle went off for over 200 yards. And we saw for the Panthers, I think Bryce Young get put in a much better position once they were able to get their running game going. And the Panthers were able to come back and win that game. And, now all of a sudden, they're looking at it as their season's not completely over. And The New Orleans Saints. They got their first win of the season last Sunday against the Giants. So, I guess congratulations to them. I don't know how many of the wins they're going to get this year. So, I guess enjoy every single one of them. But talking about once again the energy of this game, the energy that the fans have to bring. This is going to be a game that the fans are going to be able to be a very big part of. It's at home. It's at the Benz. It's Monday Night Football. Going to be great weather. The roof is going to be open. But I am telling you right now, if you are at this game, you got to be into it. You got to be making a difference. You got to stand up. You got to bring the energy in this game because at the end of the day that is going to be how that's going to be sometimes what wields teams to victory is the energy that they are able to feed off from the crowd. And we see that when the Falcons are winning, the energy in the bins is at a 10. And, you got to bring that energy, though. You got to show up to that stadium Monday night prepared to be in an absolute dogfight. No matter what happens, you're bringing that energy all game because I'm telling you, this game's going to come down to the fourth quarter, and it's going to come down to the energy that we bring as fans. So, at the end of the day, it's always great to be at home in the Benz in prime time, and it's going to be one of those energy games. I say every year the Falcons have a couple energy games where they bring all the big rappers out. They're bringing Jeezy out on Monday night. They're going to have a great halftime show lined up. That I'm particularly excited about. So, the end of the day, man, it's going to be one of those games that you got to bring the energy if you are fans, whether you're, obviously in Atlanta, you're traveling into Atlanta, coming into the game, because I'm telling you, Bills Mafia, they're going to bring their energy. They're going to bring their fans in there. So you have to show up. You have to be ready to raise absolute hell. Now, the big question, I kind of went over this earlier. Can the Falcons win this game? Because I really feel like, that's been the big question about this game for the longest. Can the Falcons win this game against Buffalo? And the answer to that is absolutely yes, the Falcons can win this game. As we've been talking about, things have to go right in this game, obviously. This is going to be a game where are you a better team than the Bills? No, you're not. But just because you're not a better team in general than somebody does not mean that you can't get them on any given day in the NFL. The Falcons can absolutely win this game. And with this game being at home, this game being in prime time, you're coming off an extended bye week. You're going to have, I think, the best chance you will actually get against anyone against the Buffalo Bills to win this game. You have had a lot of things going in your favor, and now it's time to go out on that field. It's time to put the work in. You're going to have an opportunity to win this game. You can absolutely win this game, but it's going to come down to execution. It's going to come down to maintaining control of this game. And of course, to win this game, you got to have your elements to that victory. So I'm going to get into that now, starting with the player to watch for the Atlanta Falcons. And listen, I'm going to go with Tyler Algier. Obviously, Bijan Robinson, I think, is a given any week. I think that is the obvious one that you got to watch out for. The Bills know it, and they know that, just like I talked about with Josh Allen, they know that they're not going to be able to completely shut down Bijan Robinson. It's just going to come down to, of course, how much can you actually limit his explosiveness. But Tyler Algier is going to be critical in this game also. The Bills have one of the worst rushing defenses in the NFL. And if you really want to look at it, look at what the New Orleans Saints were able to do a couple weeks up in Buffalo. They ran the football extremely well on the Bills. You look at what the Baltimore Ravens did week one. They ran the ball extremely well on the Bills in Buffalo. Now you put them, on the road, and if you're able to get this running game going, this is why I say you got to get this running game going, and you have to dominate this game. And this is a Tyler Algier type game to just go in there, take those carries. This really could be a night that the Falcons have over 200 yards rushing, and maybe both Bijan and Algier get close to or even over that 100-yard threshold for each of them. But you gotta put an emphasis on running this football, man. You have to run this football in this game. As far as the Bills player to watch, you could go with several guys, but at the end of the day, it is Josh Allen. Because Josh Allen, of course, he can make plays with his arms, he can make plays with his legs, Josh Allen can flip this game on its head at any given moment, and you always have to be on the lookout for him. Now, as far as keys to victory go, the number one key to victory, and I'm going to stress this, the absolute number one key to victory is going to be winning time of possession. You got to win this time of possession. There's no other way that I can put it. If you want to win this game, this is gonna have to be a game that you control the clock, just like we saw the Falcons really do at the end of that game versus the Commanders. They controlled the clock. They got their running game going. That is what you're going to have to do with Bijan Robinson, with Tyler Algier. This is why I say this could be a night the Falcons have over 200 yards rushing. You're gonna have to run the damn ball. Say it with me. Run the damn ball. You got to run that football. You got to control this game. You got to win time of possession if you want to win this game. Second key to victory, and I think this is absolutely critical, going back to playing the middle of the field. The linebacker play is going to have to be amazing. Caden Ellis, Divine Diablo, I'm looking at you. You got to be looking out for whatever 17 does. I need you reading his eyes. I need you, reading his body language. Whatever he is doing, you got to be on top of it. Because Josh Allen can absolutely take off and eat in the middle of the field. Same thing with James Cook. James Cook is a very, very good running back. And he is absolutely, once again, he is very critical to what Buffalo does. He is really a starter for their offense. And you're going to have to be able to shut him down. Same thing, with a lot of what even Buffalo likes to do in their passing game. They like to get things going over the middle. It's going to be critical that the linebackers, they know their assignments, they're tackling well, they're playing great coverage. This is one of those games where at the end of the day, you always talk about in the NFL, you're never going to get a perfect game. You're going to have basically great, almost perfect play from your linebackers to win this game, which I'm going to be completely honest. This is really the one concern that I have, the main concern that I have heading into this game, and I really feel like might be what ultimately costs the Falcons. But why I say you got to have great linebacker play. And then the third key to victory, you got to win the turnover battle. You got to win the turnover battle. I'm telling you right now, Josh Allen, there's probably going to be a time in this game, whether it's he's feeling himself or whether, maybe it's out of desperation. He's going to take a deep shot downfield. You're going to get that from Josh Allen. And he's in a dome. So he's going to be very enticed to take a deep shot downfield. At the end of the day, the Falcons have, I think, the perfect recipe to be able to combating those deep shots downfield in Xavier Watts and Jesse Bates. And I love what Jesse Bates said. He said, man, X has been playing so well, they're going to have to start throwing at him. And the last thing you want to do is have to throw to Jesse Bates because he's going to make you pay. So at the end of the day, Josh Allen, he's only thrown 2 interceptions all year. He's due to throw an interception in this game, and he will throw one. He's going to throw one, and I could very well see this being, the game that Jesse Bates gets his first interception of the year. I'm calling it right now. I could see Jesse Bates getting an interception in this game. Xavier Watts, he's been playing absolutely phenomenal. So, that safety duo, at the end of the day, they're going to be very critical to this. You got to win the turnover battle. This also means playing very sound football on offense, putting Michael Penix in good situations. I haven't talked about Michael Penix a whole lot yet in this episode because I really think this is a game that, of course, Penix can make those throws. You got to put Penix in good situations. But this has to be a game that you let Bijan, you let Tyler Algier, you let them go the hell off in this game. So, as far as what do I think is going to happen? What do I think the final result is? Look, I think it's going to be a close game. I think the Falcons are going to give a great fight in this game. I think we're going to see. It reminds me a whole lot of the Kansas City game. A whole lot of similar energy going into this game. You're facing obviously the best team in the NFL. There's a lot of parallels I think can be drawn. We saw the Falcons against Kansas City play them very competitive, but ultimately, the Chiefs were just a better team. I kind of hate saying this, but I also gotta kind of call it how it is. I feel like this is a game that we're going to see how high the Falcons ceiling really is. We've already seen how low the Falcons floor can be, but we're going to see just how high the Falcons ceiling can be. But with that being said, I'm gonna have to pick the Bills to win this game. I think just the main concern that I have is I think the Falcons can absolutely win this game. The main concern that I have is our defense. Is will we be able to, because look, I think we're going to come out early. I think we're going to get off to a fast start. But my concern is as the game goes on, are you going to be able to hang in there versus Buffalo? And I think that's what it's going to come down to. It's going to be about who wins the game late, who has control late, and if you let the Bills take control of this game late, you're pretty much dead in the water. That's why I say you have to maintain control of this game all throughout in order to win. You have to have control of this game. You got to win time possession. These are some of the critical things that it is going to come down to. And you're getting a very pissed off Buffalo team as well. And I also think that you have to focus on that. If the Bills are coming in here 5-0, and maybe they're feeling themselves a little too much, I maybe would absolutely feel more confident in picking the Falcons to win. I think the Falcons still have a great chance in this game. I think it's a good spot to be in for the Falcons. Of course, listen, prove everybody wrong. Go out, get this win. But, of course, the concerns that I have about particularly the defensive side of the ball and really how good is this defense actually, I think we're going to find a lot out about that on Monday night. But at the end of the day, I do have to roll with the Bills, but I still think it's a great opportunity for the Falcons. But anyways, with that being said, appreciate you all for watching. Remember to like, remember to subscribe, remember to share it out. I will see you all in the next one.